Abdullah when he was in high school. And Abdullah and his brothers and his mom and his dad. Actually, his mom teaches Quran, by the way. Quran is good ijazah for Quran. And his father is a PhD in engineering. I was actually imam in Austin and also director for the school. So in that time, especially the high school, I consider my kids, the students, like my own friends. So until now, alhamdulillah, always with the kids, I don't say I'm the Imam Ibrahim, I always know we are friends. And he's one of the result of my friends. Alhamdulillah. I'm honored to see Sheikh Abdullah here. In fact, when he grew up, first time I see him in Beard, when I get out of the hospital in Dallas, he insists to come and visit me. Then I cannot recognize him. His beard taller than me, and mashallah, and he do martial arts too. So I was happy to see him, and I saw him twice, and then the third time I see him, alhamdulillah, we'd love to see him more and more and more. Especially speaking now about he's an imam in Omaha. He's an imam over there. By the way, he's a specialist about the youth. Youth director over there. And when I found out his position over there, no, we need also for him to come to our masjid here to speak to the youth. And I told him weekend more people. I said, no, he already committed. But anyway, I insist to come today, alhamdulillah, for him to listen to Sheikh Abdullah, inshallah. Mostly going to be the youth more likely, inshallah. Sheikh, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa barakatuh. Jazakumullah khair. Of course, as usual, the Sheikh is too kind, too generous. I don't deserve half of the praise and recognition, but it is an honor to be here. How's the audio? Is that good? A little bit closer. Is this better? Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wa salatu salam ala rasulullah. I compiled the little bit of knowledge that I've gained over the years from halaqat, durus, khutbahs, lectures, etc. into what I call 10 rules for Muslim youth. I'm sure you've seen it on the flyer. 10 points. I think they're a good starting point. They're good for middle schoolers and high schoolers and college students. And also, if you're the parents of a middle schooler or high schooler or college student, or an imam or a sheikh, someone who deals with community issues, inshallah, there's some benefit in it. And do we have time for Q&A after or no?
Huh?
Do we have time for questions and answers after?
The question, and the most important thing, we have pizza.
And we have pizza. We have Q&A and pizza, inshallah. Let's do it. Love pizza. Bismillah. Can anybody guess what the first rule is? 10 rules for Muslim youth. What do you guys think is number one? What's the most important point? Bismillah.
Obeying God.
Obeying Allah. What is? Anybody else have another guess? Salah is number one. I like that. That's good. Anyone in the back? What do you think? What's the first rule? Salah. We have salah and obeying Allah. Fear Allah. Taqwa, have taqwa of Allah. Taqwa is fear, hope, and love of Allah. Manners. Okay, that's good. Last guess, submitting to Allah. You're all correct. Rule number one is put God first. Okay. Allah isn't in the masjid, but He knows what you're doing and He hears it all and sees it all. He knows what you're doing in the masjid, but He also knows what you're doing at home and in the classroom and at school and in the hallways and when you're online with your friends, with your family, so on and so forth. We have the issue of thinking about Allah and thinking about deen and thinking about Islam when we're in the masjid. Acting a certain type of way, dressing a type of way, and speaking a certain type of way. But the reality is, Allah isn't in the masjid. Allah is above the seven heavens, but He's with us at all times. We should know this and be cognizant of this. It is part of the colonized mindset. They secularized countries and institutions and organizations, families and individuals. Hearts and minds can be colonized. Hearts and minds can be secularized. Anybody want to raise their hand and let us know what is secularism? Have you guys heard the word? What does it mean to be secular? Divide. That's good. Divide, and specifically, what is being divided? That's correct. Secularizing it, like what's divided?
Separate the state from the religion.
Deen from religion. So in the context, so he said state and religion, yeah. In the individual, it's about your public life versus your private life. Divide, exactly. Part of divide and conquer is to have Muslims think that their deen is just prayer. And of course, you all mentioned prayer as number one because you know it's super, super important. 100%. It's very important, but our deen is much wider than that because our dua and our dhikr and our qiyam and our salah and our hajj and our umrah and our sawm and zakah and so on and so forth All of that, personal ibadat or personal rituals, that's one slice of the pie. Super important, but it's not our whole deen. It's not it. It's not enough. The Prophet ﷺ wasn't sent just to get people to pray, but he was, absolutely, but not just that. So if you teach people though that it's just about salah, it's a way to influence and control them, keep them down, keep them out of your way, keep them from influencing and teaching others, keep them from spreading the message around the world, from fighting injustices, and so on and so forth. So be careful not to be colonized. If you think about Allah and think about deen when you're at the masjid, and you don't think about it when you're at work and at school, possibly you've been influenced by this. And we'll talk more about it inshallah. But let's put God first. Remember the big picture. Life is short, it's a number of days, you will die. Every human being to have ever lived has died, it's a fact. And it won't really matter. At that point, your race or your religion, of course, your race, your ethnicity, your gender, your height, your eye color, your skin color. Does it matter if you have a black belt once you're dead? The worms will still eat your body. No, I love the fact that I'm jealous of the fact that he has a black belt because that's so cool. It's beneficial because he's using it to help other people, so he's getting good deeds. Good deeds is the currency you take with you to the afterlife. Other things don't matter if you can't convert them to good deeds. Put God first. One of my favorite quotes is, Allah has the picture, we have the pixel. So you said taqwa of Allah, right? Taqwa of Allah, if you wanted to translate into English, it takes 3 words. Arabic is powerful. You can't really use one word in English. It's love, hope, and fear. We love Allah more than we love anyone or anything else. We fear Allah, we don't fear anyone or anything else. We put our hope and trust in Allah, not in anyone or anything else. Allah has the picture, we have the pixel. So love Allah, fear Allah, put your hope and trust in Allah. And to be able to do any of that, first step, you have to know Allah. You have to seek knowledge. How would you love Allah if you don't know Him? Of course, there's a lot more to be said. That's point number 1. Put God first. Who wants to guess what point number 2 is? Point number 2. 10 rules for Muslim youth. Really 10 rules for anybody, but my focus is Muslim youth. Family? Oh, that's good, mashallah. I never met him before, I promise. Anyone else want to take a guess? I mean, he got it. Prayer? That's good. It was part number 1. Put God first. Part of that is your salah. Just pray your prayers and do them on time and do them at the masjid, yes, and know that our deen is even more than that. It's that, but it's also your public life. It's not just your private life. It's not just the masjid, it's at work and school. And that was part of number 1. I know it's its own series. But point number 2?
Follow the teachings of Prophet
Muhammad part of point number 1. He got it. It's about family. Because it's your relationship with Allah, which includes following the messenger, of course. That's how you get to Allah. Point number 2 is be dutiful to your parents. Be dutiful to your parents. When I was writing it out, it's a few words, right? It's 10 rules, each one's a few words. I was like, the words matter. I didn't put obey your parents. Can anybody guess why? What's the difference between be dutiful to your parents and obey your parents? They're obviously both good messages, but go ahead. What's wrong with saying obey your parents? Is that a good message, bad message? Is it wrong to say obey your parents? Can anybody give me another way to ask the question? Can anybody give me an ayah or hadith that says you have to obey your parents? Oh, this is getting interesting, yeah? Number 1 was not really that controversial, unless you're secular or liberal-minded.
If your parents tell you to do something haram, then you
Okay.
can't.
Okay, what if they tell you to do something halal? You have to follow it?
You have to follow.
I'm never gonna be invited back, yeah? This is gonna be, it's my first and last time in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Let's be mature about this, but there's an interesting point here. Anybody else wanna, can you come press the red button? Just turn off, red. Respect your parents is beautiful, but obey versus respect versus, I put dutiful.
I think maybe,
Dutiful is closer to respect, but I didn't put obey for a reason, go ahead.
I think maybe if you say obey, you're just blindly
Okay,
submitting to
that's
the
what,
order.
yeah.
But if you have a duty, you feel like you have something to fulfill on your
Beautiful,
end
that's
also.
awesome. What's your name?
Tomorrow.
Timur, Abdullah, stay in touch. I like the way this guy thinks, mashallah. I need friends. Friends is on the list. I need friends like you. Be dutiful to your parents is different than saying obey them, because absolutely a good Muslim son or daughter should be obeying their parents. Of course they should, as best as they can. But Shaykh can correct me if I'm wrong. Is there a single ayah or hadith that says you have to obey your parents, as in like he said, blindly obey?
وَقَضَى رَبُّكَ أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا إِيَّاهُ وَالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا.
Ihsana. So be dutiful to your parents. Ihsan is the highest form of good treatment.
نعم.
But doesn't stop saying what's obedience in Bil Arabic? In Arabic, what's obedience?
Obedience.
Ta'a. So
إطاعة.
we have ta'a, we have hub, love, we have bir, we've got an ihsan. The highest form of good treatment is what Allah says. He never says you have to love them, because naturally you will love your parents. Now what if they are abusive? It happens. It's like an exception to the rule, it's a minority, but it happens that there's a parent that's very abusive to their kid, and the kid naturally can't find a love for their heart to their parents. Again, it happens, it's not super common, but it does happen. In that case, can Allah order you to love your parents but you can't love them? You can't control your heart. So Allah doesn't require you to love them. Does he require you to obey them? Absolute obedience, as in no matter what they say, you don't even think about it. You just follow. That's only for Allah and His Messenger. If I say anything incorrect, you're going to correct me, inshallah, right? Absolute obedience, you don't even think about it. 5 prayers, 5 prayers. You don't even need to question it. Because Allah and His Messenger can't make a mistake when they give us advice. So that's blind obedience, but that's for them only. Anyone below the Prophet ﷺ, which is parents first, it's a little bit different relationship. You blindly obey Allah. It's Allah, He created you. Parents are human beings. They'll give you the best, they have the best intention towards you, but they can't make mistakes. They're human. So I use the word dutiful. It's your responsibility to give them the highest form of respect and to take care of them and to listen to them and to obey them. That's part of being good. If you're constantly disobeying them, you're not a good son or daughter. I know some of the parents are a little bit anxious about this topic, but there's a reason why I've chosen. Alhamdulillah, I've dealt with over 1,000 Muslim kids, probably 2,000 at this point, and hundreds of Muslim families all over the world. And so the wording is on purpose, but in the Q&A you can ask me to elaborate further. But in short, to love them, Allah doesn't use the word love your parents because it's natural. He doesn't say you have to blindly obey them. He gives you examples of when you could disobey them, like He said, if it's haram, because Allah comes first, right? But what if they tell you have to study this major in school? Are you allowed to respectfully, dutifully, can you disagree and choose your own major as an adult? Can you choose who to marry, for example? Islamically, are you allowed to choose your husband or wife, or is that going against your parents? You are allowed to the best of my knowledge. The teachers that taught me, they said that you can't choose. You can't make these decisions. But there's people that will choose what their parents told them to do, but they're not dutiful and polite and respectful towards them. You could go against them, like you could have a disagreement and be rude about it. It's not allowed. The highest form of good treatment Allah is requiring you to do, which means it's a major sin to be anything less than 100% with your parents. If you're 99% good treatment to your parents, it could be a major sin. Shall I repeat that? If you're 99% with your parents and how you treat them and how you smile at them, how you speak to them, that could be a major sin. So don't misunderstand me. Don't run off today and be like, yeah, the Sheikh said you don't have to listen to my parents. That's not the point at all. Be dutiful to your parents. So maybe Q&A, people have follow-up questions. I think this is an important one. I like to be positive and optimistic, but I have to give you guys a bit of bad news on this topic. Of the hundreds and hundreds of Muslim families I've met, the vast majority, 90-something%, the parents and the kids are not even talking. Like not they're agreeing. No two people in human history, can you just turn off? No two people in human history have ever fully agreed. No two people in human history have ever, which is billions of people, no two people have ever fully agreed. It's never happened in human history that they fully agree 100%. No two people. So to expect a kid and their parents to fully agree when they're from a different country and a different culture and a different age and a different generation, come on, it's not the goal because it's not realistic. It doesn't work that way. But that's okay. You can be good to your parents without fully agreeing. It's when you disagree, that's when are you going to be dutiful, respectful. That's the test. So you have a different view on something, or are you going to yell at them, or you're going to argue. They tell you how to speak. You're going to yell at them. Point number 3, what do you guys think? Point number 3, of course there's a lot more to be said on this topic as well, but I'll get through the 10 inshallah and we'll see where we go from there. Point number 3. 3 and 4 are connected, they're related. I'll give you guys a hint. Bismillah. Okay, that's good, I like that. He's telling us about the principle in our faith. It's a motto. It's actually maybe the whole slogan in our faith. Enjoining what is good and forbidding what's evil. Like basically commanding what's good, promoting goodness, fighting against injustice and corruption and false beliefs, false practices, etc. That's beautiful. It is related, not exactly. Anyone else want to give it a try? I'd like it to be more interactive. I don't like to be the only one speaking. What do you guys think? Allah, parents, what else? If you had to come up with a list of 10 rules for Muslim youth, what would be on the list? Friends, yeah. Friends is coming. Friends is number 7. It's important. Yeah, maybe it should have been higher up. Maybe we'll get there. Yeah, I could have made it number 5. Friends is super important. We'll get there. It's super, super important. If you know who your God is and you have good friends around you, I mean, that takes care of most of your issues. Or if you think about it, they'll encourage you to pray. They'll encourage you to be good to your parents. Hopefully they're good friends to help you also in your career and education, all that. Should I say it? Number 3 is don't fall for the traps. Number 4 is don't get distracted. And if some of you are already thinking, why isn't he using Islamic terms? Put God first. Why didn't he say, like, why is it like, be dutiful to, why is he using English terms and none of them are like necessarily Islamic terms, even God? I did that on purpose because I speak about these topics not just in masajid, but also universities and other environments, other audiences, Muslims and non-Muslims. So I wanted to use generic language. So inshallah, every point is from the Quran and Sunnah. Don't fall for the traps and don't get distracted is referring to, who's heard of shubuhat and shahawat? You guys have heard these terms before? If you're a student of Sheikh Dirmari, you better have heard these terms, yeah? Have you given a talk on shubuhat and shahawat? Beautiful topic, yeah? Shubuhat are doubts, and shahawat, desires. And I love that in Arabic, it's alliteration. They both start with the sheen. And in English, they both start with a D. It's easy to remember them. Doubts, desires, shubuhat, shahawat. I like that. It's alliteration. Easy to remember. But for those who haven't heard these terms before, doubts and desires, all the tests, life is a test, right? That was the big picture. Remember, life is short, we're going to die. Life is a test, made up of tests. Many different types of tests, but all the types of tests again, if I'm wrong, correct me, can be broken down to these two categories. Everything you're tested by either is testing you, your beliefs, or testing where's your heart, right? It's your doubts. You're sure Allah exists, or you're not sure, right? You're certain about the deen, you're certain about the sunnah, you're certain. Or it's your desires. Give me examples. What are testing your desires? Shahwats. Give me examples, guys. Yeah, your attraction to women, or men. Yeah. What else? Excellent example. That's
Drugs.
drugs, alcohol are all part of this category. The tongue. Vain talk. Like yeah, 100%.
Watching a game,
Exactly.
a football game, and Salah is passed.
Oh, okay. I was about to say like, well, I watched the football game. So not too. I don't really have that much time. I'm usually busy. We watched on our masjid. We watched some of the games when Morocco was playing, and I was conflicted because I didn't want to sit for 2 hours, but I also wanted people to come to the masjid and watch the game and then pray together. So for a second I got scared. I was like, yo, Sheikh, this is a bit tough, you know. But missing Salah, yeah, 100%. That's why I like to watch at the masjid. You don't miss the Salah.
You know,
But watching movies, watching shows. And of course, the content is not all the same. I mean, not every movie is equal, not every show is equal. But generally, if you're obsessed with and addicted to, and I've been there, YouTube video after YouTube video, scrolling through TikTok endlessly, and it's not good content, etc. That's in your heart. Your heart is attached to these things. It's attached to what color is your Bugatti, right? Our hearts want the nice. No one wants to drive no man would ever pick to drive a Toyota if they could drive a Ferrari or a Lamborghini or Bugatti. Who would? If they had both options, who would do it? When it drives by, you tell me you don't feel it even for a little bit. I try to fight that in my heart, and I try to tell myself that I don't care at all. But the reality is, I feel something when a nice car goes by. Now it's not haram to buy a nice car, so just understand it's about where your heart is and your mind. So don't fall for the traps. Now, what are the traps? Don't fall for the traps and don't get distracted. We spoke about the distractions. These are some good examples. Don't fall for the traps. What are some of the traps intellectually? Our doubts. Give me some examples that are relevant in our times, because these change with time and place. Okay, so those both, your heart not being like, oh, it's time for Salah, but I don't know, that's more the heart than the mind. Temptations is the heart. That's you're attached to drugs, alcohol, women, etc. Like money, fame. So let's talk about, we talk about the heart, let's talk about the mind. Shubuhat, doubts. What are some intellectual issues that might give a Muslim doubts that might affect the relationship with Allah? These are the existence of Allah. It's, 3/4 or more of the world are not certain that Allah exists. Maybe not. Half or more of the world are not certain that Allah exists. Or they either say that they're certain that He doesn't exist, which is illogical, or they say they're not sure. They're agnostic, they're atheist, and it's on the rise. Can I give you guys some bad news? I'm not trying to give bad news, but just so you know, the fastest growing faith or religion or philosophy or belief in the world is not Islam. It's the second fastest. We always say that. And I grew up in the Masjid, they say it's the fastest growing in the world. It's not. It's number 2. The fastest growing belief in the world in our lifetimes now has been agnosticism, secularism, atheism. Is fastest growing. Number 2 is Islam. Number 3 is like evangelical Christianity. So one part, Christianity generally on the decline, but this part aspect, they're Hinduism. But yeah, Islam is number 2. If you call it a religion, they don't call it a religion, but it's a belief. And Islamically, it's a deen. It's a way of life and it's a belief system. So agnosticism, atheism, secularism is the fastest growing in the world. Has it affected Muslim youth? Absolutely. I have these discussions regularly. When I go to high schools and I go to universities and in masajid, I regularly get asked, like, how are we so sure Islam is true? So. And I teach classes on that, alhamdulillah. If you're interested, we can stay in touch, inshallah. I teach classes on atheism. These are some of the shubhat, some of the doubts. Don't fall for the traps. Who's heard the term marketplace of ideas? The marketplace of ideas. Who's heard this before? You've heard this before? The marketplace of ideas. And this is the idea. This is the idea. And you want there to be a bunch of different options. You don't want 1 or 2 chocolate bars. You want 20, 30 to pick from. Some with mint, some with peanut butter, it's my favorite. Some with coconut with chocolate, some with dark chocolate, some with milk chocolate. People like options. There's another term, cereal aisle syndrome. You walk into a cereal aisle, there's like 100 options. I like that. I like cereal. I try a little bit of each. There are people that go there and they're kind of like paralyzed for a little bit. They're like, it's too many options and they kind of cause them anxiety. It's a real thing. But we have this belief. It's part of the American culture and American capitalism, and it's part of, it's a part of American history. It's part of our society in America, and it's global. It's a global system. That we want more options. We want many brands, and we want all the different stuff, and we want Amazon to have, pages and pages of anything you search, you find millions of options. We think that's better, and that society should have, civilization is having more stuff to buy. But of course, we're not talking about that right now. But just like that, just like the marketplace, there's an idea called, or there's a term called the marketplace of ideas. Can anybody guess what that's about? It's an analogy. The marketplace of ideas. Can anybody take a guess? What is that referring to? Yeah, 100%. It's about philosophy. philosophies, right? The marketplace of ideas. It's the idea that all ideas are equally valid. They're all good. It's just like picking you like, what's your favorite cereal? You like cereal or not really? Favorite chocolate? What's your favorite chocolate?
I used chocolate,
Favorite chocolate?
dark,
Dark chocolate? Okay.
100% organic.
He knows exactly what chocolate likes. I like when it's mixed with peanut butter. I like Reese's. That's my favorite. Reese's cups. Chocolate with peanut butter I think is the best. I don't know who invented that, but that's a genius idea. That similarly, what's your religion? What's my religion? That's your, all right, cool, well, let's respect each other. It's all equally this, it's the same. Your opinion, my opinion, we all have different ideas, different opinions, different religions, philosophies, and lifestyles. It's all the same. You pick whatever you like, whatever makes you happy. Who's heard this before? Whatever makes you happy, you're perfect just the way you are. You do you. Just be yourself. Just do it. You guys have heard these terms? These are some of the slogans of our culture. These are some of the messagings in our time, right? Nike is just do it, but these are common. And it can be well-intentioned. A mom telling her son, you're perfect just the way you are, Johnny. You're perfect just the way you are. You do you. Whatever makes you happy. I'm sure she has good intentions. Is that the best advice? No. There's better advice. Islamically, we have better advice. Better advice is, you don't have to be obsessed with everyone else, what everyone else thinks about you, which is what the mom is trying to say, but you have to please Allah. Right? If Allah tells you it's right, Allah tells you it's wrong, do your best to submit to Allah and follow. And then you're on a path of personal development, you're always trying to improve. It's a journey, getting closer to Allah. It's not the same thing as saying you're perfect just the way you are. No, you're not perfect just the way you are. So it's a marketplace of ideas. All ideas are equally valid. All religions are equal. All lifestyles are the same. You just pick whatever you like. And if it makes you happy, that's perfectly good for you. And everyone can do whatever they want. Just like I have a different flavor of ice cream. You guys get it? Islamically, do we agree with the marketplace of ideas? No. We don't agree. No. Islam is the truth with a capital T. It's perfectly true. Islam is the faith and the lifestyle. Which is the deen. Deen is faith and lifestyle. Islam is the faith and the lifestyle that the Creator chose for humanity. Can you choose something else? Yeah, you can. It's free. Allah gave us that freedom. There's free will in this life. But there is right and wrong. It's not a marketplace of ideas. It's not equally. The religions are not all equal. How? If I create my own religion today, and people do every day, it's not the same thing as the faith and the lifestyle that the Creator chose for humanity. And He didn't choose it for Arabs or for Pakistanis or Indians or for people from Asia or Africa. He chose it for humanity. Past, present, future, every race, every ethnicity. Doesn't matter your socioeconomic status. If you have a PhD from Oxford or if you're a poor farmer and you can't read or write and you're in Africa or Latin America, it don't matter. Or the Middle East, it doesn't matter. Islam is the faith, and I'm specifically using modern language, that we come out of this masjid, inshallah, like we said, Allah is not in the masjid, right? You're a Muslim everywhere. When you hopefully, at least one or two of you are going to share this with classmates or co-workers and so on, something that you've heard here. I hope so, inshallah. I specifically chose the language in a way that everyone in our society can understand it, not just Muslims. Islam is the faith and the lifestyle, right? Any of you guys are on Instagram? Hashtag lifestyle. Specifically chose that term because it's very popular. It's a buzzword in our times. Islam is, I try to translate deen into English. Faith, lifestyle, to belief system, to actions. Islam is the faith. I didn't use the word religion because in our times religion is like a very negative term for no reason, but that's fine. Islam is the faith and the lifestyle that the Creator chose for humanity. Shall I repeat it again or you guys memorized it? What did I say? Islam is?
Faith and lifestyle of
Humanity.
That the Creator chose for humanity. What is it?
Islam is the faith and lifestyle the Creator chose for humanity.
But what if that's fine, right? What if I want to do, I'm from this country, well, me and my friends do, if you join our group chat, we talk about, that's fine, that's great. Are you a human? Yeah. You have a creator? Yeah, we all have a creator. Created all humanity. This is the faith of the lifestyle. Not I chose it. It's not my people. It's not my tribe. Not my way of life. Right? Some converted into it. Some were born into it. It don't matter. It's in the East and in the West. Islam has been in America for over 400 years. So don't let anybody play this whole thing of like, Islam is this thing where you have to wear a thobe and a shismo and you have to be from a certain country. Nothing wrong with the thobe. This guy looks good, mashallah. But it's from a certain part of the world or it's a certain culture. Don't let people put you in a box. Right? Don't let people make you feel that you're less American or that Islam is you're bringing this foreign thing and you're trying to spread it in a new country. It's not like that. Islam has been here for 400 plus years. And inshallah, next weekend is MLK weekend, Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Some of you guys probably don't have school on Monday, like 1 week from today. So in our masjid, we're speaking about Muhammad Ali and Malcolm X and MLK and the history of Muslims in America. Inshallah, next weekend, it'll be live, so you guys can probably see it if you're interested in these topics, but it's a tangent. The point is, Islam has been here for 400 plus years, and Islam is for all times and places. Again, Islam is the faith and the lifestyle that the Creator chose for humanity. I made you guys repeat it because I chose the words on purpose, and I've been thinking about this stuff for years. Alhamdulillah. Okay, don't fall for the traps. Thinking like, all religions are the same. I don't know about the truth. You fell for the trap. Don't get distracted, right? Where's your heart? Where's your mind? Point number 5 is be grateful. Again, rules for success for Muslim youth. A lot of us are not grateful. Let's be honest. We have almost everything. No human being has everything. Allah purposely will test you by taking away money, from certain people. Certain people, like, you don't have happiness because you don't have, maybe some people are not popular in their school. They're tested by different things. Some people get sick at a young age. Some people have a mom that's a little bit tough to deal with, or a dad that's a little bit tough to deal with, or friends that bully you in school. So no, you don't have everything, But you have more than the vast majority of people in the world, and more than the vast majority of people throughout history. So if you're not happy or grateful, it's on you. Could life be better? Yeah, like you don't have the nicest shoes and the person next to you does in school. You can't afford the $400 or $500 shoes, and someone else does. Be grateful. A couple of my good friends that I follow on Instagram and TikTok, they put out good content, mashallah. Just right now, in the last few days, they were either with the Syrian refugees, I believe, in Turkey or in Lebanon, something like that, or Lebanese orphans, I forgot exactly. I was watching them just the other day, and they made a really nice. We're gonna talk a little bit more about social media, inshallah. It could be used for a lot of good. They made some really nice, clean, short videos, content, showing like them in their homes in, I forgot exactly what part of the country they're from. You know, we meet up in different cities and the conventions, but they're in one city. Give me 1 second. They're in a city, so they were showing themselves at home, like trying on their shirts. You know, like you'd expect to see a video on TikTok of someone like trying on different clothes. It's common. They're showing and then they're showing the kids in the camp. So they're going back and forth. You don't like the shirt? Well, check us out and look at their shirts. You don't like my shoe? You know, you're wondering about which. Maybe I'll send you guys a link. It's very, very wholesome content. Great way to use social media to have a good message that the whole world can see. And even those who don't understand English, the message was very clear. You see the pictures, you see the pictures back and forth in the videos. It's a good message. But it's up to you to be grateful. It's your choice. If you think you're not going to be grateful until you have everything, you'll never have that. It's a test. Especially Muslim youth, born, raised in the US, you have what most people in human history never had. It's up to you to be grateful or not. Do you want to say something?
That was my question about Muslim brothers come from born in the U.S. that's not from here. You know, the hadiths can speak about, you know, people that name Omar and this and that, this and that and that. It doesn't mean really anything, you feel me? It just is a 99 attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, my thing is, what kind of hurts me is when, you know, you're a mother and your father, right? And you both on the same category, but we're raising children. And one thinking that we can put up the Christmas tree, and the other one don't think that, you know? And that's a problem, I think, in society. I think that's a problem when it comes down to Islam, this perfect way of life. We just give up too easy. Or just because Sally Mae having Thanksgiving, like, we're not supposed to do that.
We take our deen for granted, yeah?
We take it too much for granted. And that's what hurt this perfect way of life. It will hurt Islam. This will hurt what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stand for. This will hurt everything that we stand for Islam. When we got kids, like I'm 40 years old, and we have kids, and I'm going through the same thing, even a divorce. And it's not right because Hadith, Quran say we should stick it out. Unless you can. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. But when you're going through that as Muslim brothers and sisters, and have to go there and got children in the house, in a toxic situation, and we supposed to be standing and believing upon Islam, where we went wrong at.
In the end, actually, question when he finished.
No problem. Point number 1 was put God first. Point number 2, be dutiful to our parents. Point number 3, don't fall for the traps. Number 4, don't get distracted. Number 5, be grateful. Who wants to guess number 6? It's close to number 5, similar to number 5. What do you guys think?
Get married.
Be grateful. Number 6 is be patient. Is that the same thing? Same thing. Get married, be patient, same thing, right? You gotta be patient. Be patient. We're not patient. Specifically, American Muslim youth is like my specific target audience. Inshallah, there's some khair in this for everybody, but
Good. I mean,
we're not patient. We want it all, and we all want it right now. We order things on Amazon. If it says 3 to 5 days, we're like,
kids, please listen. Kids, listen about sabr.
yeah, I'm talking to myself first and foremost, of course. I can be more patient, but if it says 3 to 5 days on the Amazon order, you're like, because you're looking for that 1 to 2 days, right? And if it ever says like 1 week or 2 weeks, which happens every once in a while, depending on the thing, you're just like, there's no, what's good? Like, someone I can call, this is unacceptable. Real, this is shipping from another part of the world. Like, where's the patience? Like, you know, but it is what it is. I mean, we don't gotta be patient with Amazon. They don't deserve our patience. They got the money. They should bring it to me tomorrow. But with other aspects of your life, with Allah's qadr, you gotta be patient. And here's the thing about patience. There's a lot to be said. There's one thing that I've thought about recently. I was like, if somebody's ambitious, and a number of you are young and you come to the masjid, so I'm gonna guess you are ambitious. Because a lot of other people your age are like, I'll go to the masjid when I'm older, but you're like, no, I want the good deeds today, I want them every day, I wanna be the best, I can die any moment, I wanna do big things with my life, I wanna be closer to Allah, it's not about my age. So I'm gonna guess from, I don't know you well, you're probably ambitious to a certain extent. By definition, if you have big goals, right? If you're ambitious, means you have big goals. If you have big goals, by definition, it takes a long time to get there. Think about it. It seems simple, but it actually took me a while to realize this. By definition, if you have big goals, it takes longer. If it was something that you can accomplish tomorrow, that's not a big goal. By definition, a big goal takes longer. So you have to be patient. So if you're either going to accomplish big things or you're not. Like if you want to accomplish big things, you have to be patient. You can't accomplish big things and not be patient because big goals take longer. That's why they're bigger goals. If you write it down your goals and you're like, this is I would love to be able to do 100 push-ups. But if you could do that just by practicing today, if you do your push-ups today and tomorrow and then you get to 100, then why would you wouldn't write that down? You wouldn't have it as like, this is my goal for the year or my goal for the next 10 years or like, before I die, I want to accomplish, this is my bucket list. You wouldn't put 100 push-ups if it was something you could accomplish tomorrow. It wouldn't be a big goal. It wouldn't be your long-term goal. By definition, you got big goals, you have to be patient. Does it make sense? And what does Allah say about patience in the Quran? A couple of things. I mean, He says a lot of things. What does Allah say about patience? Just in your own, you don't have to memorize the ayah or hadith, just in your language.
It's matched to Salah.
It's related to Salah. Beautiful. I like that. I wasn't even thinking that wasn't on my list. But what else? What does Allah say about patience? In normal language, just tell me, what does Allah say about patience? It's few people that are patient. It's not the majority. So patience is tied to prayer. Beautiful. Few people are patient. Sah?
No.
Few people are grateful as well. I forgot to say that. Being grateful, being patient makes you among the minority. Majority of people are not grateful. They're not patient. وَقَلِيلٌ مِنْ عِبَادِيَ الشَّكُورُ.
No.
Few people are grateful and few people are patient. Umar al-Khattab prayed that may Allah make me among the few. They're like, what is that? It's like the Marines, right? The few, the proud, the Marines. To make me among the few. Few people are grateful and few people are patient. The other thing Allah says about patience, come on guys, you know this. Yeah, and Allah's with, okay, beautiful. I should add that to, man, patience is a whole topic in of itself. Allah's with the patient. So these are all excellent answers. There's one more I was thinking of. Patience starts with a B. Patience is? It's a virtue. Patience is? Surah Yusuf? Beautiful. Patience is beautiful. Sabrun Jameel, right? Beautiful. But all your answers were excellent. Should we keep moving for the sake of time? Number 7, choose your friends, your mentors, and your partners wisely. This list of 10 things that are advice for Muslim youth could easily be 100 points. 1,000. There's so many, this isn't there's plenty of aspects of your life. There's plenty of advice to be given. That's why we have khutbahs every Friday for your whole life. There's so much out there, knowledge, information. But here's a shortcut. If you have the right people around you as your friends, your 2, 3, 4, 5 friends, no, you don't need everyone in your high school to like you. If they do, that's great. You can do a lot with that. If everyone in your high school hates you, it's okay. You'll live. And if it's probably somewhere in the middle. But it's natural at that age, you're a teenager, so even in college, you want as many followers as possible, as many friends as possible, as many people to like you as possible, as many people to want to take a picture with you as possible, to come to your events as possible. That's fine. It's natural. Hopefully you overcome it in a sense. But know that those 2, 3, 4, 5 friends, that's your cheat code. And your mentors wisely. Because you have the right teacher or the right sheikh or so on, and a couple of friends around you, all these other things become easier. It's easier not to get distracted if your few friends are not distracted. It's easier to not fall for the trap if your friends are going to be like, if you're about to fall, yo, watch out, you're about to fall. Yo, I'm a senior, you're a junior, that's one of your friends, and you pray in the same masjid. And you're like, yo, when I was a junior, I did this, don't do that. And he's already a senior, he's about to graduate high school, he's thinking back. So you don't even know, whoa, I wouldn't have done that. It's easier to put God first if your best friends all put Allah first. It's not that hard to put Allah first. It's still a test for you, but here's a shortcut in life. Here's a cheat code. Here's an easier way to be successful. You want to be successful? Put Allah first, but your friends and mentors and your partners in who you do business with, also your partners who you end up marrying. Be very wise about it. It's so well known now that it's across cultures. In pop culture, there's so many different quotes. You are the sum total of the 5 people. It's a fact. And how many ayahs and hadiths tell us? People are going to be very regretful in the day of judgment. Because in the hellfire, yo, I followed the wrong people. Yes or no? In Jannah, I'm what is the right people that brought them to Jannah. I prayed for them to get to Jannah. And asked Allah about them when they weren't in Jannah, when they were. Your friends matter. Your mentors. You can't follow. So in Islam, we don't have this idea of I'm a leader, automatically I'm good. It's a great thing to be a leader. Or if I'm a follower, that's a bad thing. Allah created us differently. The world has followers and leaders. It's fine. But if you're a leader, how do you follow? How do you lead? If you're a follower, who do you follow? There's people in the hellfire, they're gonna tell Allah, well, I was following them. Punish them more. Don't worry, I'll punish all of you. Don't even worry about it. It's in the Quran, right? Okay. Choose your friends, mentors, and partners wisely. Of course, a lot more to be said on the topic. Number 8. You guys will never guess number 8. Never. Never, never, never. Maybe this masjid will get it. Most masjids will not get it. Most masjids don't have a culture of maintaining starts with an F. But this masjid, you guys take it seriously because you have a sheikh with more hints. That's enough hints. Guess number 8. You probably never in your life heard a khutbah about this topic, but I asked some of the top scholars like Sheikh Slawi, he said, Abdullah, you should give khutbahs on this topic. It's part of our deen for sure.
And that is?
Guess?
What?
Guess?
Finances.
Almost. Starts with an F. But you hear that in every khutbah. Faith is in every khutbah. In fact, this comes up sometimes. I never heard a khutbah about this in my life, probably. It's part of our deen. Fitness. I like this guy. I like these guys. Maintain your fitness. Raise your hand. You guys talk about it in your khutbahs?
No, actually, we
Halaqas in your
karate.
This masjid is about their martial arts. So they know who their God is, they take care of their families, and they maintain their fitness. You guys don't need me. Why'd you guys invite me? But trust me, masajid around the world, you go in there and you find people to be super, super out of shape. And what affects your body, or what the state of your body, is absolutely related to the state of your heart and your mind and your soul. They're connected. You're one human being at the end of the day. We study these topics, right? We have durus and halaqat and khutbahs about what? Amal al-qulub, tazkiyah. What term do you use?
I used the karate too here.
Yeah, I was like, what term do you use for like spirituality in our deen? Tazkiyah, amal al-qulub. There's many different terms for it. People talk about imaniyat, but the point is that spirituality is part of our faith. You hear khutbahs on this, right? And then we talk about intellectual issues, atheism and secularism and liberalism. I brought up some of these things, that marketplace of ideas. But the mind, the body, the soul, etc., you can't separate them. Our deen is about taking care of all of them, maximizing all of them. It's a test. This life is a test for all of them. So maintain your fitness. I specifically wanted to include that on the list because I never in my life heard a khutbah on this topic, which is unfortunate.
I think you're right about that. Like, especially if you go to a lot of like Middle Eastern countries, the obesity rates in comparison are pretty high over there, just because the idea of mind, body, and fitness, that second aspect of body and
100%.
fitness is not necessarily praised at
You're
all,
right.
and it just doesn't get passed down.
Unfortunately, we live in the most obese country in the world, and then the second and third are unfortunately Arab Muslim countries, Muslim majority countries, and that's very unfortunate. 100%. Excellent points. For the sake of time, we'll move on and we'll leave it for Q&A. But number 9, have a mission. You can pray your prayers, and like you have a certain job where you earn a certain income so you can pay for your family and so on, and that makes you better than maybe a lot of people, and that's inshallah a good life, and that's not easy to pray all your prayers on time and to take care of business and so on as a father and as a mother to raise your kids. None of these are easy, right? But I want to encourage you to like aim higher. If you can, as best as you can, have a mission, have a vision, have a mission, set goals. Don't just go through the motions. Like in your 20s, I need to get a job, and you just work on getting it, and in 30s, before you know it, you die, and you didn't maximize this life because there are people that just go through the motions. They just do this stuff. And there's others that have a vision so that 30 years beforehand, they know kind of where they want to go. Is it okay? It's okay if you don't end up exactly where you go. One of my teachers, the same person who said, one of my favorite quotes, Allah has the picture, we have the pixel. Ustad Hamza Sortis, I recommend him. I recommend someone to YouTube, someone to Google. He said, Abdullah, write your goals in pencil. Don't write them in pen, write them in pencil. You don't know the future. Allah has different goals for you, has a future already written out for you. But you shouldn't not set goals. You're not going to maximize your life. Have a mission. There are people all over the world that are 15, 10, 12, 14, 18, 20, young by all standards, and they're doing incredible things. And I'll have to tell you stories throughout Islamic history. You know these stories. You know the stories of the Sahaba and prophets. Ibrahim a.s. was how old when he went up against his father and the society, and we don't worship idols, and
It's Ibrahim.
Ibrahim a.s. when he went up against the idols and his people, he was maybe
16.
what? Maybe like 16, definitely a young person. And he was changing the course of human history. He's setting a new precedent for human history that we don't worship idols. Beautiful. And then he made the dua at the end of his life, and Muhammad was a continuation of that. But anyways, huge things at a young age, and other prophets as well. And the Sahaba, I don't need to tell you the stories, you know the stories of Ali. And everyone knows that Ali ibn Abi Talib was probably 10, 12, etc. when he did big things. But a lot of people don't know that a lot of the other companions around the Prophet, the names that we know, like Bilal, Ammar, etc., they were also teens and 20s, and they were young. Prophet wasn't spending time with mostly 40-year-olds. When he was 40 and 50, he was spending time with the teens and the 20s. It's just natural. That's how you build up generations. So I don't have to tell you these examples. You know these names. But know that also today, because a mistake that I've seen, maybe Sheikh wants to comment, I've noticed this around the world. A lot of circles like you guys that are in the masajid on a Monday evening, that makes you among the minority. That's a small, small fraction. Those practicing Muslims, there's a mistake they make. That sometimes in their minds they think the people before us are better than us. Yes or no? It's true. But are we not capable of big things in our times? Is there any ayah or hadith that says you cannot do incredible things in the 21st century? Is there any ayah that says that like we're in the end of times? It's a fact that we're in the end of times. Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's him becoming a prophet, is the beginning of the end of times. Like all of that after that is the judgment is coming close. Because look at human history, right? I'm not trying to get into all the conspiracies. I'm not even going to talk about the end of times. I know young people already on social media. Don't even worry about it. I got you. But the point is, Prophet being a prophet means we're in the last chapter of human history. So of course, 1,400 years later, we're close to the end of times. But who says that you're at the end of times means you have to like just give up and have I call it the waiting for the Mahdi mindset. Like the Mahdi's gonna come, we can't, it's too much. There's the Rohingya and the Uyghur and Kashmir and Palestine, and Yemen and Iraq and Afghanistan. And how many millions of people are wrongfully imprisoned in America and Europe and around the world. And I don't have to keep going on. You guys know these issues, right? A lot of issues in terms of social justice and corruption and crime rate around the world and violence. But who says you can't do big things in our times? You'll never be a Sahaba or the Tabi'een or the Tabi'een. Yes, our hadith says they're the best people. But who says you can't do incredible things? How about the scholars 700 years ago? They were not prophets or Sahaba or Tabi'een or Tabi'een. If they can do incredible things 700 years ago in Damascus, we can't do incredible things in New York City and Houston and South Carolina? Why? So make sure that if you're a practicing Muslim we're all trying to practice, you're in the circles of people that are always talking about ayat and hadith near the masajid, don't fall for the trap. End of times and I'm just trying to follow the Quran Sunnah and the world or whatever happens. Or I can't do it, it's bigger than us. Nah, that's the shaitan. He doesn't want you to maximize doesn't the hadith say if you're at the end of time? No, the hadith doesn't say the end of times. It says the day of judgment is happening right now. You have a seed, what do you do with the seed?
Planted.
The hadith is not about plants, right?
No.
The hadith is not about planting a seed that's fine. I mean, you have a seed, you should plant it. The hadith says so, but that's not really it's an analogy. It's saying you have even a second, you give it your best. You don't have you know how many generations of Muslims have passed where they left their 50, 60, 70, 100 years they lived? And they didn't do much because they were like, oh, with the end of times, or the thought invaded, whatever. Oh, the British, the French, like colonize. Oh, we can't do it. Oh, the Zionists, The Sahaba didn't think that way. So if you're in a masjid and you believe that the Sahaba are the best, the conclusion is what? We can't do anything? That's not. We teach that the Sahaba are the best so that you try to be like them as much as possible. And if you're not like them, it's okay, and you won't be like them.
We should imitate them.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the have a mission. Yeah. And number 10 is change the world. I know it sounds cheesy, but I have this on purpose. Because if you put God first and you do your best to not fall for the traps and not get distracted and be dutiful to your parents and you have the right friends and so on, inshallah you can change the world and you will. And like I said, there are people that are in our times, Muslim and non-Muslim, that are 10, 12, 15, 18. Don't use age as an excuse. Don't let anybody at your masjid or your family or online or your teachers or school or anybody ever from now till forever, don't let anybody tell you that because of your skin color or race or ethnicity or nationality or age or anything like that, you're not capable of doing big things. Don't let them, even if it's your parents and they love you and they don't, with all due respect, don't listen. There's no such thing as you're too young to do big things. There's no such thing. There's people all over America, you guys know this, there are middle schoolers, high schoolers that started an app that millions of people have joined. So why can't you do that? And have the app encourage and promote good things. I think I have a lot more things to be said, but I think we'll end there and I'll open it up for Q&A because I want to hear from you all as well. Questions or comments or concerns, arguments, debates? You're free to disagree. If I said something that you think is not correct or like there's a better way of putting it, you're free to let me know. I'm developing this and I want to inshallah take this around the country. So, Bismillah.
We know they have a community in the United States, but the challenge now is the social media.
Yeah.
How that can affect what we teach out there.
Beautiful.
Because you can teach them a lot of things.
Beautiful.
And you put a lot of work and effort to teach them.
100%.
They will see one single video and that might
That's fair.
most of what you teach.
That's fair.
So you don't have enough time. You don't have to stay with this kid.
You're at work trying to earn an income. You're at work trying to work, and they're at school more times than they're with you at home. And when they're not at school, when they're at home and in school and the hallways and the classrooms, between the books, they have their phones, and you're trying to compete with. This guy has 1 million followers or 1 billion followers, millions of dollars, and you're the dad who's doing his best to struggle to take care of his kids, and you care about them more than anyone on social media. But it's hard to influence them when they're being influenced. There's a lot to be said on the topic, but I think the best advice would be to encourage them to follow people, like send them links and send them videos and send them channels of people that are putting out a good message. Because you will continue to, as a mom and dad, no doubt, you'll continue to always try to give them the best advice. But sometimes they want to hear from someone else, and it's natural, yani. Think about it, you were probably the same when you were a kid. You wanted to hear from your parents, but you probably wanted to hear from other people as well. So send them links, send them imams, scholars, da'is, and influential people online that do have a good message, so that when they're not listening to you, they can be listening to them. This message is not gonna want to hear this. Can we just keep it 100, keep it honest? Statistically likely that your kids growing up in the US, it's like the vast majority of them, even if you're going to the masjid every day and you've done your best to raise them, there's a good chance that they might watch Mufti Mink or someone, like one video might be an Islamic YouTuber, the next video probably will be Drake or Kanye or something. Let's be honest, like that's not right. And I'm not saying it's not a small thing or not a big problem, or that it's like you should not care. I'm not saying that, but just know the reality, because you can't really solve the problem if you don't understand the reality. The reality is statistically the vast majority of Muslim youth in America. Oh man, I'm trying to stay positive. You guys want to hear some of the stats? Can you guys guess what percentage of Muslim youth that grow up in America, what percentage will drink or smoke or have a boyfriend or girlfriend, etc. before marriage? What percentage?
75.
Why are you so pessimistic, bro? Will commit major sins, or they'll they'll miss a prayer at the masjid, or they will like go off for a year or two and be like, I don't want to go, and then they'll come back. But major sins, 75% are committing major sins. Inshallah, it's less.
1 out of 3.
99.
No, bro, come on, no. Nah. It's about the stats. It was 7 years ago, so I don't know. It could have been worse. Hopefully, it's not, but maybe it's worse. But 7-8 years ago, there was a study around America. It was about 50-50,
50-50.
which is too high. Yeah?
What year?
50-50. This was about 7-8 years ago now, so maybe a lot. I hope it's not worse, but it might be worse. But
After-
it's about 50-50 of those who drink or smoke or have a boyfriend,
After
girlfriend,
COVID-19.
before marriage or not.
After COVID-19.
Inshallah better?
Now 76.
You think so?
Yeah, after COVID-19, yeah.
What I know is that I'm sure the last few years things have gone worse because social media is encouraging, like most of what you see on there will encourage you to follow a lifestyle that's not Islamic. So I'm sure young people are influenced by that. But also, I know for a fact that tens, hundreds, if not thousands of people became Muslim in just the 2 years of COVID from Instagram and from TikTok. The same platforms that have all sorts of nonsense, promoting all the major sins and crimes and all sorts of nonsense. There's people converting through that. I myself, just my 2 years of me being at home on doing my online masters and teaching a little bit at the masjid and doing Zoom 19, 20, like young people. A good percentage of them actually were Latino, which is interesting fact. Latino Muslims are the smallest but fastest growing group of people in America. It's evidence that it's actually really related to the point of we're in the 21st century. You think like, khalas, the Sahaba, the companions, Shaykh al-Islam and Taymiyyah, and this Imam, this Shaykh, and Imam Bukhari did this, and we have all the books and Torah, and now we're just living at the end of times. It's not really the exact, don't misunderstand me, they're the best people, but that's not the right mindset of you're gonna live for 70 years and not really think, you don't think you're capable of doing big things? Imam Bukhari is not a Sahabi, like, why can't you do that too? Yes, you can. But proof of this is the fact that Latin America is mostly untapped continent, not country, continent. It's over 1 billion people that speak Spanish, yeah? And there's a number of organizations in America and Latin America that are giving da'wah to these people and building masajid and so on. Some of them are in Houston, so I know them personally. But people are currently doing big things. So if you think you can't, you're shooting yourself in the foot. That's up to you. You want to live from 15 to 75 and think that I can't do anything more than just eat and drink and sleep and just pray, like, that's fine. That's halal. But that's the goal. Allah sent us the Messenger ﷺ so we can just do the basics, or we can do everything you possibly can. And it's the effort, not the results. So when I say, put God first and do don't think like, unless I create an app that changes the world, then I'm not a good Muslim. No, that's not the point. It's not the effort. It's not the results. The results are in Allah's hands. He doesn't judge you based on the results. They're in His hands. How can He judge you based on what's in His hands? It's about the effort. Inna sa'yakum sawfa yura. It's about your efforts. It's your pursuit. You give it your 110%, that's what matters. And some of you know this principle very well because in school, you know that like some people get an A, but they don't work really hard, and other people get a B, but they studied really hard. Which one do you think Allah likes more? It's the effort, not the results. So give it your best, but aim high. You have good reason to aim high. We are, inshallah, following the Messenger and the Sahaba and so on. We should aim high. Questions, comments. Great point about social media, but social media can be used for a lot of good. So get them to follow some good people.
If I could say something, you were saying about Latin America, the current, we talk about UFC sometimes, the current UFC champion, he's Brazilian, and he actually converted to Islam.
Look,
and,
what was it? I know this. Alex Pereira. Okay. That's what, I've heard the name.
UFC champion, but if you look at the stuff happening in Brazil right now, they have a lot of riots and a lot of stuff like January 6th, where they invaded their own capital and stuff like that.
I didn't know this.
And he actually tweeted out that regardless of changes of time, chaos can always happen, but as long as you keep yourself at peace and with God, nothing can stop you. And he's a Brazilian, born in Brazil, that's converted to Islam.
Giving some good da'wah, yeah?
And so, even to your problem that you were saying, I think the number one solution for us as Muslims to remember is that Islam isn't here to change the world to fit its problems and stuff like that. The world will have to reform to fit Islam, because Islam is perfect. If they don't understand that, then they're just in the way.
These are your students?
And
I like
so
it.
that's what I think you have to remember.
Beautiful.
Is the number one point is that we're not here to reform to the world. The world will either
100%.
reform or it will go into chaos. Which it is going into chaos.
Which it is in front of our eyes, 100%.
Just remember that and stay at peace with yourself. So that's what Islam tells you. It doesn't say to be aggressive or to be crazy or like what the media wants you to make yourself extremized and make yourself into the villain, because that's how they can paint you into the picture they want. But if you keep yourself tranquil, if you keep yourself at peace, that's how you attract the most people to your religion, and that's how you set the best example. Like he said himself, people say good deeds is what lasts after you're gone, and when you're gone, that the good deeds are what people are going to talk about you, and the more good deeds you do, the more outreach you'll have in the world. So just keep that in mind.
Great points, mashallah. Islam is as much in need of modernity as the cure is in need of the disease. Islam is the cure. Modernity is the disease. Life is full of diseases.
You said aim high.
Yeah.
Like make a mission or right?
Vision, mission, and goals.
Yeah, where do you start?
Put God first. Be dutiful to your parents. Don't fall for the traps. Don't get distracted. Be grateful. Be patient. Choose your friends, mentors, and partners wisely. Maintain your fitness. Then have a mission, vision, and goals, and so on, and then change the world. I thought it was pretty. It's not a bad list, yeah. We can stay in touch, inshallah, and we can follow up. And
you have any question in the back?
we can stay in touch, inshallah. I do FaceTime and Zoom and all that. I got you, inshallah.
Okay. Yes.
Jazakallah khair, brother. that's very good
Excellent
point.
points.
And you open a new window, a new philosophy for Muslims. So the world adopt Islam to change itself and become good and grow.
Exactly.
The question here, how can we be good ambassadors
Great question.
for Islam?
He made it-
What people see us doing, that we look at these people, wow, look at these people, how they are successful.
Excellent.
We should be successful in our life, so to be example, like,
Exactly.
material example for people to live on and judge themselves, oh, I have to be like this,
Excellent.
and they have to adopt what he's doing.
Islam is the reformation. Islam is the revival. Islam is the cure.
In
Excellent
fact,
point.
I invite Brother Taimur one of the days here to speak about the community, especially the youth. Please,
Inshallah.
you're invited.
Inshallah.
And also, brother, for your information, not this Friday, the following Friday, Musa alayhi salam قال ما خطوة الجمعة.
Musa alayhi salam is gonna give khutbah.
Inshallah.
Oh my God. The good news is we're not doing too bad. There's plenty of room for improvement, and Muslims like to we bash each other and criticize and point out all each other's flaws. It's also part of the colonized mindset. We shouldn't be so negative, yani. But there's some indicators like the da'wah spreading in Latin America. There's good indicators that Muslims are not doing so bad. The most famous, the most Google searched man in the world in 2022 converted to Islam because of what he saw from Muslims. So we're not doing too bad. And he had all the money and the fame and the cars and stuff. He didn't have to do nothing. Of course he had to. Should have converted, but he didn't have to in the material sense. But he did. He saw, he knows about people like Muhammad Ali, Malcolm X and others, may Allah have mercy on them, because his dad is African American. He grew up in Southside Chicago and grew up in the US. He knew about Muslims from around the world because he grew up in some of the roughest areas in the UK, and the people around him were refugees. He grew up with a single mother. The people around him were refugees from Kosovo, Muslims. His kickboxing coach, this is the richest and most, or one of the richest, the most famous man of 2022. His kickboxing coach was from which country? You know what we're talking about. We're talking about Andrew Tate. Who's his coach? His coach was from what country? There might be someone here from that country. No, maybe not. Close. His kickboxing coach was from a country where they had a war in the 90s. This guy got shot at multiple times and survived. So that's his coach. Bosnian. His coach is Bosnian. He grew up around Muslims from Kosovo in the roughest areas of Britain, which is called Luton. It's like Southside Chicago. His dad is African American. He grew up knowing about Muhammad Ali, Malcolm X, I'm sure. And then he met Muslims in the UK. A lot of Muslims in the UK are from what country? He saw people that build businesses and they have masajid in there. From Pakistan, so he has friends from Pakistan that are Pakistani and British. And then, in the last number of years, after being kickboxing being kickboxing champion of the world, he looked at who was an excellent example of a fighter that's also disciplined and well-mannered and well-spoken. Khabib, another Muslim example, and from different parts of the world. He saw people from Kosovo and Pakistan and African Americans, and then people from Russia, like the mountains of Dagestan. So Islam is the truth. So we're not doing too bad. We have good examples of Muslims around the world doing great things. So just give it your best, inshallah, you'll be good.
Alhamdulillah.
Jazakumullah khairan.
Jazakallah khair, inshallah. Brother, I'm so happy to see you all. Alhamdulillah, we have a pizza now, and we have a cookies.